So Arsenal look to continue their great start to the season when West Ham visit the Emirates on Saturday evening. In this video I preview that match and look back at some previous encounters with the Hammers. Hello, my name is Richard. Welcome back to my channel over and over again, which features everything to do with Arsenal. So in this video I'm just going to look ahead to our match against West Ham at the Emirates on Saturday evening, 8 o'clock kickoff. Just sort of look ahead to that and give a few predictions. Before I do that though, I just want to make sure that if you're enjoying my channel, please subscribe. Please click the subscribe button down below. And if you like this video, please give it the thumbs up as well. It does help me to grow the channel. Really appreciate all the support I've had so far. It's been fantastic. Really appreciate it because it's a new thing for me, all this YouTube stuff, and I'm enjoying doing it, and it's maybe helping to take my mind off a few of the other issues that's going on in the world at the moment outside of football, and it's actually affecting football as well. So it's been good for me to be doing it, and I'm glad that people seem to be enjoying it, which is the main thing as well. So if you are liking what I'm doing, please subscribe, please give it the thumbs up so I can help to grow my channel. That'll be fantastic. So West Ham then on Saturday. Of course we had a great start to the season, didn't we, winning 3-0 away at Fulham last weekend. By contrast, West Ham of course have been struggling, haven't they? They've got a few issues internally, I think, a few issues with the players. The fans aren't happy with their lack of transfer activity, and of course they were beaten 2-0 at home by Newcastle last Saturday. They did of course beat Charlton Athletic in the Carabao Cup in midweek, so they maybe have restored a little bit of confidence, but I guess it's probably a good time to be playing West Ham, if we're honest. And it's also as well, they've been quite a good club for us to play in recent years anyway. We've actually won the last 5 meetings at the Emirates in all competitions, and that's going back to the opening day of the 2015-2016 season where we lost 2-0 at home. If you remember that game, it was Petr Cech's debut. He was at fault for both of the goals as well, wasn't he? But to be fair, he did recover from that, won the Golden Gloves that season, and of course we finished second in the league. But that's our only defeat in the last 13 games at home. In fact, we won 11 of the last 12. So they've definitely been a lucky team for us to play in recent years. In fact, if you consider the away games as well, we've only suffered 2 defeats in the last 26 meetings with West Ham, and that goes all the way back to April 2007. And also as well, going back even further than that, in fact the last 50 matches we played against West Ham, that's home and away in all competitions, we've only lost 6 times. So we've got a great record against them, but we need to be cautious. If you remember, they were the very first away team to win at the Emirates. At that game in April 2007 I just mentioned, they won 1-0 if you remember that game. And also as well, they have the distinction of being the last away team to win at Highbury as well, when they beat us 3-2 in February 2006. That was the famous game where Sol Campbell of course walked out at half time having been at fault for 2 of the West Ham goals. So you know, it's not been always plain sailing against West Ham. What I say, in recent years it has been. In fact, going back even further, West Ham actually won 3 times in a row at Highbury in the league in the sort of early to mid 1990s, and if you include an FA Cup win that they gained at Highbury as well, they actually won 4 out of 5 visits. So they've had some success away at Arsenal over the years. It's just, thankfully, it's been quite a long time ago. So certainly the recent statistics are heavily in our favour, as indeed is recent form as well, isn't it? For me personally, West Ham have always been a club that's been quite close to me, simply because I grew up on the Essex East London border, Romford Hornchurch area, big West Ham fan base there. A lot of people I went to school with, West Ham was their club. In fact, it was a dominant club in my school, and my sister supported West Ham as well. So they've always been a club that's been quite close to me in a sense. And in fact, my first ever live match was actually West Ham against Birmingham City. It was a game in Division 2 in 1980. It was actually a few weeks before they played us in the FA Cup final in 1980 actually, although we don't really want to talk too much about that, do we? Of course, it's not always been a great relationship between Arsenal and West Ham over the years, has it? And my very first ever match between Arsenal and West Ham at Highbury was that infamous game in May 1982. Of course, Arsenal did win 2-0, but the game will be remembered more for the smoke bomb that West Ham fans set off on the North Bank, and of course the murder, of course, of a young Arsenal fan at Arsenal Station after the game. So not always the happiest of relationships between Arsenal and West Ham over the years, unfortunately. But let's hope that all those days are long behind us now. For me personally, I mean, I've got so many memories of Arsenal West Ham games over the years. It was the same local club in a sense. West Ham were a couple that stick in my mind is I remember a game September 1987 at Highbury where Kenny Sansom scored a late winning goal at the North Bank, and it turned out to be his last goal for the club actually. He hadn't scored for a while as well, and I just remember his celebration in front of the North Bank was brilliant that day. That was a memorable game. This will actually be the third time as well in recent years that we've played West Ham in our first home game of the season. Of course, there was that 2015 game that I mentioned earlier, but we also played them on the first day of the 1996-97 season. That was the season, if you remember, where Bruce Rioch had just been sacked, and it was in that in-between period before Arsene Wenger took over. I think Stuart Houston was in charge for that particular game. We did win 2-0, goals from John Hartson and a Dennis Bergkamp penalty. So we have had success when we played West Ham early in the season at home as well. So just to kind of, even that out a little bit as well. In terms of the team news for Arsenal at the weekend, I'm not expecting there to be too many changes. Obviously, it was a great performance at Fulham. Mikel Arteta doesn't tend to make a lot of changes, does he, unless he has to. I think obviously Bernd Leno's going to start in goal, especially now Emi Martinez has left the club for Aston Villa. I think the back three will probably remain the same. Rob Holding on the right, Gabriel in the centre, of course a great debut for him last week, and Kieran Tierney on the left. The only doubt could possibly be Rob Holding. There's rumours that West Ham actually might be trying to get him on loan, and I know Mikel Arteta is quite keen to keep him at the club, but there's a possibility that if he's going to go to West Ham on loan, would it be a good idea to play him against them? Although we have got quite a lot of defensive injuries at the moment, so we might not have an awful lot of choice. Unfortunately, we might have to play him, but we'll see what happens. But that could be maybe the only change there. Maybe Socrates could come in possibly to fill in that position, or I don't know who else is fit actually. So we'll see what happens there. The two central midfield positions, now there could be some changes here. Obviously Dani Ceballos came on last week, got a few minutes. He was at a 4 weeks training, so he could be ready to start and could be ready to reignite the great relationship he built up with Granit Xhaka, of course, at the end of last season. Although, of course, there's a little bit of doubt over Granit Xhaka, of course, because he did go off last week, didn't he, with that ankle injury, with that kind of terrible tackle that was on him by the Fulham defender, David Hector. So they could possibly see a different midfield partnership. El Neni, of course, has played well, but I don't really think he's any more than a squad player to play when other players are injured. I can't see him getting a regular start. So I would expect it, if Xhaka and Ceballos are both fit, I would expect them to start and El Neni to drop down to the bench, although he's done nothing wrong. But we'll see what happens. A lot of that's going to maybe be down to the fitness as well. The two wing-back positions, I would expect Hector Bellerin on the right again and Ainsley Maitland-Niles on the left, although there's a possibility that, again, there's talk of Hector Bellerin possibly leaving the club, so Ainsley could switch over to the right and maybe Bukayo Saka coming on the left. So there's options there to sort that out, or Cedric Suarez on the right possibly if he's fit. In the front three positions, of course, that's where we've got the most competition in the squad, isn't it, really? I mean, Aubameyang's obviously going to start on the left, isn't he? I'm sure he'll be buzzing after signing his contract. I expect him to get a goal or two, actually. Now, on the right hand side, of course, Willian last week had a great debut, didn't he? He was fantastic, had a hand in all 3 goals, and it'd be great to see him start his first game at the Emirates. Although, of course, Nicola Pepe came on, he'll be keen to get a start, won't he? Get his place back on that right hand side where he played a lot last season. And of course, again, Bukayo Saka had a great game there, didn't he, in the Community Shield? So plenty of options there. And of course, the centre forward position, Alex Lacazette, of course, scored last week and played well against Fulham, didn't he? But of course, Eddie Nketiah's knocking on the door, isn't he? He had some great performances for the England under-21s just before the season started. So I'm sure he'll be keen to get a place as well. So, but I'm not expecting wholesale changes. Maybe two or three in total, perhaps throughout the team. But we'll see what happens. You can never. The one thing about Mikel Arteta is you can never second guess what he's going to do. He does sometimes change things to relating to the opposition. I say West Ham are coming into the game with a few issues. I know I say they did win in midweek, but they do seem to have a few issues going on. One of the big battles I'm looking forward to seeing actually will be Mikel Antonio coming up against Gabriel. I think that's going to be a good battle, isn't it? Gabriel's brilliant one-on-one defending last week. He's going to have his work cut out against Antonio, who's a fast, strong player, isn't he? Very, very good player. And I think that Gabriel's going to have to be on his game to keep him quiet. With that in mind, I do think West Ham will score. I do think that they've got some good attacking players. They haven't quite, hit it off yet, maybe this season, but with Felipe Anderson, they've got Yarmolenko. Obviously Hallow scored in midweek as well, scored a couple of goals, didn't he, against Charlton, of course Antonio as well. So I do think West Ham will score, but I do think we'll have a little bit too much for them at the other end of the pitch. I don't think defensively West Ham are that great, hence why they're after Rob Holding. So I do think that we will score a few goals, possibly 3 or 4. I'm expecting Aubameyang to get a couple. I say he'll be buzzing after his contract. So I'm going to go for a 4-1. A 4-1 Arsenal victory I'll go for. Continuing on a good start to the season. That should also cement our place at the top of the league. Of course, ahead of the following week's trip to Anfield, of course. Big, massive game that is, isn't it, for both clubs actually, early on in the season again. So that's that for today. It's a little preview of the West Ham game at the weekend. If you like that, please give it the thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. I'll be doing some live stuff on Saturday for the game. Just after the teams come out at the team news comes out, at 7 o'clock, I'll be doing a little video about the team selection. I'll also do a report at half time and at full time, and then on Sunday I'll do a proper preview more in depth of the game itself. And then of course on Monday I'm going to do my regular Premier League roundup of the weekend games. So please stay tuned for all of that. And of course tonight as well, I've got a live show at 8 o'clock tonight. It's the Positive Arsenal podcast, the second one. Got some great guests coming on actually, where we'll be looking back at the Fulham game, looking ahead, I say, to this West Ham game coming up. Also with a few other bits and pieces that's been in the news over the last week. Obviously the Aubameyang contract, a few transfer news as well. Obviously the departure of Emi Martinez will get discussed as well, I'm sure. Plus lots of other things going on in the world of Arsenal and Premier League football and football in general. So please tune in for that if you can at 8 o'clock tonight with my special guest, and that's the Positive Arsenal podcast, because on this channel we want to try and keep things positive. At the moment it's a little bit easier to be positive, isn't it, with how things are going. It's going to be maybe a little bit tougher later on in the season when things aren't always going so smoothly, but we are going to try on this channel to keep positive, and I say it's the Positive Arsenal podcast tonight at 8 o'clock. So that's that today. I hope you enjoyed that. I say please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe to my channel. Any comments that you've got, put your predictions as well actually for the game in the comments below, maybe for your predicted lineup as well, if you think there might be a few more changes, a few more players maybe to come in that didn't play against Fulham. Let me know what you think about that, and say leave that in the comments as well, and we'll see maybe who gets the score right. I say I'm going for 4-1, so see let me know if you agree with that, or whether you think I'm being a little bit too optimistic, or maybe you might think we might score more. We'll see. But I say we have got a good record against West Ham, so the most important thing is to get the 3 points, isn't it? I'll take a scrappy one. If you remember, that was of course the last game before lockdown, wasn't it, last season? Was that scrappy 1-0 win? Wasn't it at the Emirates when Alex Lacazette scored the winning goal late on in that game, which of course there was a few VAR checks, wasn't there, before it was given. So I'll settle for something like that if I'm honest. But I want to try and keep the positivity and we can get some momentum going, so I'm going for 4-1. But let me know what you think. So that's that there today. Thanks for watching. Hope you're enjoying the videos. If you are, please subscribe. And of course, in the meantime, as always, we always end the same way, don't we? Come on, you Gunners!